Right guys, well I would say that I've had a pretty decent afternoon on 10 metres today, and that's actually got me thinking. Now 10 metres is not going to be like this for very much longer, perhaps another year, maybe another two, but the openings on 10 metres are going to get less and less. And once we get into the trough of, what would that be, solar cycle 26 or the end of solar cycle 25, you know, very rarely 10 metres is actually going to be open. It's certainly not going to be open daily. We're going to get that little bit sporadic in the summer and a bit over the Christmas period again, but it's not going to be how it is just now. And I think this is worth just having a little chat about. Now, I think the decline of solar cycle 25 is an interesting topic, and I'll cover that in another video, because once we get into that trough, the opportunities are still there to work DX, good DX, worldwide DX, so don't worry about that if this is your first solar cycle. So as I say, 10 metres. Just now, it's pretty predictable. So there was me yesterday, so I went on to Roland, HB9 VQQ's DX map tool. So he's created I don't know how to describe it, but he's got basically a tool where you can look at what the previous propagation is, and he's got some propagation predictions. I'll put a link down in the description. It's a fabulous tool. So I looked at that for yesterday, and it was actually showing that 10 metres was my best chance to work between Europe and North America. And that's what, you know, experience told me where we are in the solar cycle. And we're in February. That's, you know, that's where the DX is going to be. Now, I know people have got differing ideas of DX, but I can't just go into 20 metres and work DX, work a load of DX on 20 metres. I can't do that. But 10 metres, it's much more achievable for me in my small garden. Now, I've got a 10 metre Moxon. I've not used it for probably a few months, maybe the start of the winter, something like that. So I decided to put that up to date. It's entirely homebrew. It's made with fiberglass tent poles, little aluminium cross for the centre. Now this antenna takes me about 15 minutes to set up, so not long at all. And then I mounted that antenna on my Waymo 11 metre mast, although there's a couple of sections out of it. So it was up about 8 metres perhaps. And that's more than high enough for 10 metres, because there's 3/4 of a wavelength. So it'll perform pretty well, and it has done this afternoon. So I got that up, and I had that done for about midday, just before midday, and then I went on, and then we had what I expected. There was some Middle East starting to come in, and there was also some South America starting to come in, and it's been a real interesting afternoon, and especially of the spread. Because what I thought was I was actually going to work wall-to-wall North America. Canada, that wasn't the case. So, you know, I went on, and on the back of the beam, I could hear South Africa really strong. So, spun the beam round, pointed it south, and there was ZS1 KUB absolutely booming, calling CQ, called them first time in there.
Thank you. I've got you now, MM0OPX. You're coming through a 5.5 here in Southern Africa.
And then I worked Fox Yankee, which I think is Guyana.
Mike Zulu, Oscar Papa X-ray, 59, Fox Yankee.
And then Brazil was coming in, so there was a Zulu Victor.
Yeah, Mike 0, Oscar Papa X-ray, copy, you're 57.
A little while after that, worked Colombia.
My name is Carlos Vaisili Valledupar from North Colombia.
And back to Brazil, one in the States.
Okay, November 3, Charlie, Delta Alpha, the name is Dave in the state of Maryland.
Chile.
My name is Pablo. Pablo is my name. I am located south of USA.
So really, a really good day for 10 metres. And as I say, it really got me thinking, what are you preparing for as we, you know, head down through the solar cycle? Because some of us can't keep antennas up all the time, like me. Now, the Moxon that I was using today versus my doublet that I have on the end of the house, the Moxon, I've done a few A/B comparisons, and generally speaking, on the same signal, just changing the antenna switch, 4 S units. So there's over 20 dB difference, the doublet versus the Moxon. Now that's because it's a 66-foot doublet, and it's going to have some quite strange radiation pattern up on 10 metres. Now, it will work, but there was a lot of these stations that I worked today, I just simply wouldn't be able to work if it wasn't for this Moxon that I put up today. So, guys, make the most of 10 metres because it's not going to last that much longer. I've been here before. You know, while I've been into radio a long time, and I was in CB and stuff through the 90s, you know, I first became licensed in amateur radio 2011, so we were just coming up to the peak, and I remember what 10 metres was like it is just now, but I also remember what it was like down in the doldrums back down in 2020, where I remember working in the Middle East over the Christmas period, but it was the openings were few and far between. So there we go, guys. Really, please make the most of 10 metres for now. You don't even need a Moxon. Something like I worked a couple of people today with these IMAX 2000s, and they were doing a great job. So something like that, Silver Rod, Antron 99, and you can work a lot of good stuff on 10 metres. But please, I'll make another video on it, but you need to start thinking about the lower bands because 10 metres, 12 metres, even 15, they're not going to be opening daily, and you're going to have to rely on 20 metres for much of your DX, or perhaps even 40 or even 80 if you've got the space, but there is always a way. Right, guys, there we go. Catch you next one. Bye for now.